welcome back to my channel, Casual Curiosity. If you're new here, hi. This is the second episode of my, I want to say 6th series. I don't know anymore. I haven't really been keeping track. But this is my second episode of my 6th series, which is about Dungeons and Dragons. It's just going to be like a basic beginner's explanation of things. I've played for a little while now. Maybe like a year and a half. I don't really know. Something around that though. But I know a lot of people have been playing significantly longer. And yeah, this video, again, let's just really get into it because I feel like I talked way too much last video. This video will be about races and sub-races. It's just going to be a good solid base on how to start building your character. Again, for D&D, race is basically, it represents your species, your character's species, giving them possibly unique traits, abilities, and certain backgrounds. I have a character currently who is an Outlander. I don't remember fully what that means, but he's like more adventure-y and such like that. Anyway, some key characteristics of the races and sub-races. Stat bonuses. Certain races are naturally better at specific abilities, certain things that you can do. Like, one of my character's special little thingies was he was better with certain weapons, like daggers. He's much better with daggers. And he can play an instrument. Those are things that come with your race and your sub-race. Those are possibilities. Again, like I said, special abilities. That is like you could be better at handling animals, looking into people, like if they're like sneaky or whatever. And yeah. Again, apologies if I'm like inaccurate for any of these. I'm like an intermediate, I think, at most. So if any of my things that I'm saying, please correct me in the comments and I'll pin your message. And yeah. And then sub-races, which I realized I should have mentioned this first, is basically just variations within a race that give you more like character customization opportunities, basically. Again, sorry if I'm like monotonous. I'm mildly tired, and also my camera is bothering me. Why is it sitting like that? Anyway, let's just continue. I'm going to be just saying the races that are by the book. There's a multitude of races and sub-races that you could be, but I'm just going for sake of just beginners, I'm just going to be saying the ones that are in the book to make it a lot easier. Anyway, let's just get into it. There's humans. Pretty self-explanatory. Human. Whatever you are. It's just a customizable person. You could do whatever you want with them. Yes, you could probably have some kind of subclass that can give them some special magic capabilities or something else. But if they don't, they're just a person. I don't really know what else to tell you. They can, but their subclass, not their subclass, but their class and subclass can make them into something else. But just as a base, they're just human. They're just a person. Another one, elf. Elves have, I believe, 2. This is what I've written down. I'm sure maybe there's others I won't be covering these videos. Again, this is just basic, laying out flat what they are. Elves. There's high elves, which are more like magic focused. They focus on using magic, typically found with, I guess, wizards, sorcerers, that sort of thing. Again, I'll get into that when I start talking about classes. But anyway, there's high elves and wood elves. Wood elves are more like focused on, I guess, not necessarily the magic, but being more like oriented with nature and such like that. I mean, it's basically in their name, isn't it? That was bad. Anyway, next race is dwarves. They're typically, again, a little bit stronger than most. They're a little bit more resistant, but they are a bit smaller. But it cannot be mixed up with halflings, which are much also smaller folk, but they're more on the hard to hit, just tiny little people. While dwarves are more tough, more strong, like stronger. And then there's hill dwarves and mountain dwarves, which I actually didn't know about. But here I have written it, hill dwarves get like extra, like they're a bit more. They can handle damage a bit more. And then mountain dwarves are like stronger, more combat, like they're better at fighting. That would probably be some kind of ability you get, would be them being more proficient in certain weapons. Whoa. Camera, stop moving. Anyway, a dragonborn. That's what I was for my first race. I was dragonborn. I was Dragonborns get breath weapons. I actually never ended up using my breath weapon in my whole campaign when I was using my character. Her name was Quill, and she was a druid, which I'll explain in my next video, but basically just think nature person. And she actually had a, I believe, acid breath capability, and I never used it. I think it's because I simply just forgot, and I was just still getting used to it. But yeah, they have breath weapons and elemental like ties, and I think that's pretty cool. And subclasses, which I'll actually get into in my next video, she was able to get capabilities from that as well. Anyway, next one, tiefling. Think like horns, pointy ears. Not necessarily a devil or a demon, but something along those lines. Like in that little family, I guess you could say. Again, infernal heritage, tied to fire, stuff like that, like hell and such like that. I had a friend that made hers like tied to shake, like making an exchange with a demon like 5 times and something like that. I don't remember it vividly, but I remember they said something along the lines of that. They have typically magic abilities. I have a friend who's currently playing tiefling, and he has magic abilities, which I think is pretty cool. Another one, and I think this is the last one. Yeah, it's the last one. I'm sorry, I have my little list here. Gnomes. Think like tiny. Another tiny things again. There's forest gnomes and rock gnomes. Rock gnomes are typically more like good with tools and such, while forest gnomes are typically better with like animals, typically smaller animals. Gnomes as a whole are typically more like intelligent, and again often have ties connected to magic. A lot of them have ties connected to magic, a lot of these races do, but again, there's a multitude of other races that you could be that are not necessarily by the book. Again, if you want to pick a race that's not by the book, that's something you have to consult with your DM. They can typically a lot of them allow you to do it, but some, like I know of this DM, he prefers to do everything by the book, strictly by the book. He's just been playing for a very long time, so it's like that. A beginner tip, I would suggest just pick a race based on what sounds fun, not by what could be best for you. Like, you could pick a strong fighter and think, alright, this is great, I'll be able to beat up people, I'll be able to provide for my team some kind of force, but you may not enjoy doing that. You can do magic, you'd rather do that. I would just suggest picking what sounds fun for you, not necessarily what is best for your team overall. You will figure out some way to work with what you have and what you chose to be, and you can orchestrate that with your team. I feel like that is how it would work. Your enjoyment matters more than optimization, not necessarily what is ideal to have. D&D is very fun-based, enjoy yourselves, not necessarily competitively just selecting what's up there the best. I don't know if that made sense. Just do what you want. Don't do just because someone said, oh, you should do this because it'll do that, and third, right? So yeah. Anyway, now you have the foundation of your character, the race. That is kind of just where it is. You start off with that, you get a design going, and then, like I said, next episode, we will go into what your character actually does, aka their class and subclasses. And yeah, that's really it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, if you're new here, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. You don't have to though if you don't want to. And yeah, that'll be all. Have a good day, have a good night, and I'll see you guys later. Stay curious. Bye, guys.